Hi everyone, it's Amanda. How are you doing? It's the 22nd of March 2019. I've meant to do a video before now during the week, but it's just flown by again, and I'm sitting here at 2:10 now on Friday afternoon, and I'm thinking I've got about an hour before kids get home from school and the weekend energies start to flow in. So I wanted to come on and say hello to you all, because it's been a big, powerful week, hasn't it? We've had the equinox energies, and we've also had that full moon in Libra. And what I've observed is that it seems to have affected people in almost like at two ends of the spectrum. I've noticed that there doesn't seem to have been a lot of grey area with this week's energy. It's as though people have either felt really good and in the flow, or in the depths of despair. Hasn't been an awful lot of middle ground this week. Also an awful lot of very deep healing coming up, karmic issues coming up as well. And I just thought I'd come on today and see where we're at the end of it before we flow into yet another week next week. I asked you a few days ago just how you're all doing, and this is on the community tab of my YouTube channel. Often when I'm not posting videos that regularly on here, I often will just post a little hello, how are you, or some other information there. So it's sometimes worth looking at my community tab on my YouTube channel. And I think there's 63 comments in from some of you. So I was going to just read a few of those out and reply to them. And I also feel called just to use a particular deck of cards today, which is the Sirian Starseed Tarot. Anyway, it feels like a long time ago that I was actually here talking to you. And the last time that I was on YouTube, I was doing the video on Australia. Excuse the rubbish. It's the rubbish cart arriving in our street. Perfect, actually. Feels as though it's just taking away a lot of the old debris from this week. Yeah, I was doing the Australia video, wasn't I? And then I think within 24 hours we had the attacks in New Zealand. I didn't come online here on YouTube, but just for future reference, we did do quite a bit of work over on my Facebook page, which is called Angelic Celestial Colours. There's a community of about 10,000 people on that page now, and I put up some mini videos on that page, and also as a community we sort of walked through that journey. Sometimes when things happen in the world that are very immediate and unexpected, the quickest place that I can actually put up a message is my Facebook page, okay? And it is called Angelic Celestial Colours. There's a lot of you that are trying to reach out to me on my Amanda Ellis page, and it's just a family page, so you're not going to be able to get in touch with me that way. But if you feel like joining the community on Angelic Celestial Colours, then please do. I think towards the end of last year I said that I was thinking of coming off Facebook, but the community is so strong on that page, I don't really want to walk away from it. And indeed, there isn't another platform other than YouTube that is any better. So I don't personally feel at the moment anyway, that might change. I also feel very strongly that some of these social media platforms, including YouTube, including Facebook, including Twitter as well, which I'm not on, I'm not going to be on it either. But sometimes you need to have people on it that are good representations of the light. So that would be you and me. And I think if everybody just flees platforms and leaves the problems that are there, then it's never going to get cleaned up. So yeah, we did quite a lot of work with regard to New Zealand on my page. What else has happened this week? We've had the equinox, we've had the full moon. I've been up in Birmingham in the north of England this week, and I had some healing myself. I keep coming back to kinesiology. I'm a big fan of kinesiology. I love the way that your body is just able to tell you, you know, what's wrong. And thinking back on it, a lot of the good therapists over the years that I've seen personally for my own self-care have had kinesiology at their core. So had a good session on equinox, and also reinforced protection energies around me and my work, and all is good. So a few of you also had picked up that I was having some problems with my throat over the last couple of weeks. You're a very canny lot, I tell you, because you can't get away with anything when you come onto a public platform like this, when you have a lot of people who are healers out there, which is why I'm always an open book. I'll always tell you the truth in terms of what's going on with me, good or bad, because a few of you spotted that my thyroid was playing up, and it was actually linked into something that needed to be healed, which was shall I say? Yes, I'll say. I'd experienced a form of psychic attack, and it had centered on my throat. Somebody had tried to stop me talking. And what's so beautiful about it, actually, in retrospect, because it's all cleared now and it's going down, is the fact that Spirit always has your back. I always say that. And when we go into battle, because I do believe we're in a form of spiritual battle at the moment between the light and the dark, sometimes you take a few hits, you know, you get a few scars. There's nothing, you know, sometimes it's unavoidable, but they're never life-threatening. They're never going to hurt that deeply, and they're always retrievable. And the story is that this happened to me, and the problem came up within over a few weeks. But I had already booked in this healer a few months ago. It was actually a friend of mine who's probably watching this video who dragged me up to Birmingham, which is 3 hours away from where I live, and said, "You've just got to see this woman. I don't know why, but there's a reason why you're supposed to go." And I didn't even know why I was going. But the thing is, Spirit knew that I was going to take a bit of a knock. So it's all learning, you know, it's all learning. And I'm learning a great deal at the moment. I will say more when I can. But anyway, I'm in good shape at the moment. And I'm going to see what shape you're in. So I'm going to look at some of your comments. And let's see. First comment here. This is a lovely one from Cerise. She says, "I feel empowered with love." Fantastic. That's great. I feel empowered with love. Juliana, particularly strange and conflicting energies. Full moon today, a sense of completion and a new beginning all at once, slipping right through the middle of the gateway. Some anger release, but such radiance with the bright sunlight. And that's what I really feel at the moment. It's as though we're being able to really see the extremes that are out there, and also within ourselves. It's like there doesn't feel like there's much grey area at the moment. It's as though things are becoming really crystal clear. Truths are becoming clear, and I find it a fascinating time to be alive, actually. So what else? I love this comment from Christina. You say, "Happy spring, so tired but very grateful we got here. It's been a wild ride, hasn't it just? Buckle up your seatbelts." Okay. Alice, absolutely knackered, sleep disturbed and headache all day long. Yeah, sleep disturbance. I mean, with full moons, you're always going to get a bit of that, but it does seem to be particularly prevalent at the moment, doesn't it? And I think the problem is that we go into battle with it, don't we? And sometimes it's just about surrendering. I've had a few nights recently, last night was one of them, where I couldn't sleep, I was awake. And rather than focusing my energy into, why can't I go back to sleep? What can I do to get back to sleep? Oh God, it's 3 a.m, I'm wide awake, what do? I just sort of surrendered into the space of, yeah, it's 3 o'clock, I'm awake, it's okay, I'm just gonna lie here. I'll just do a little bit of meditation. I did some self-healing on myself. I suppose I surrendered into the state of it. I was talking to a friend just now, had a coffee in town, And both of us said that we're not particularly, she's a spiritual teacher as well, we're not particularly practitioners or teachers that go on about ascension symptoms a lot. I think sometimes in our spiritual community, to be honest, when you mention ascension symptoms, people can throw everything at it, you know? I've got a sore throat, I've got a headache, I've got this, I've got that, I've got the shakes, I can't sleep. And whilst I know that that can happen, it's not always about that. Sometimes there are physical things that are going on within you. Sometimes there are things within your environment that might be affecting it. Maybe I just had a too hot duvet on last night. That's probably exactly what it was actually, because the temperature's gone up here. But I do feel at the moment that, contrary to what I've just said, I do think a lot of people are experiencing some symptoms. And what I was just talking about with my friend was the fact that it really feels as though we're between dimensional states at the moment. It's very transitional, the energy. And if you think about it, our bodies have been used to a third dimensional vibration for thousands of years. And all of a sudden we are ascending, we're evolving. Our bodies are having to get used to so many new things, new vibrations, new ways of being, that I think a lot of people are struggling at the moment. So, and it does just seem as though sleep seems to be one of those areas which is going awry for a lot of people. But yeah, I think the worst thing you can do is just sort of try and fight it. Surrender is key, because I take the view that worst case scenario is that you just lie down and relax, you know. Even if you're not asleep, you can still relax. Another person saying they're tired. A couple of you talking about having an achy body. I think that with the aches and the pains that are out there, the best way to bring in adjustment to that is through Mother Nature. It's through getting out in nature in all the elements. It's really important at the moment. Somebody else, I'm just going to tell you what's going on, what people are saying. Somebody says somebody else is feeling anxious and worrying. Steve Judd nailed it for me. I haven't seen Steve's latest video. He's been away, hasn't he? So I'll have to watch that. Lots of clearing and purging. Another person talking about purging. And then somebody else saying that they just feel like magic's in the air, joyful, happy. The Schumann resonance is mentioned by one of you as well. I think it was this week. It was either this week or it was right at the end of last week. The Schumann resonance just went off the scale. And that is definitely affecting us. I don't think there's a general rule in terms of what that means, you know, that it affects everybody in the same way. So what I feel we need to be doing is, for many years, we've all been very aware that the moon affects our bodies, it affects our emotions, our mental state, and that's quite mainstream now, you know, that at full moon it all goes a bit mad and emotions go all over the place. I think we need to be, as a community, getting much more on top of watching what's going on with the Schumann resonance and with solar flares in particular. Those seem to be the two things for me that affect my physical body at the moment. I even if I don't know what's going on with those two mediums, I find out afterwards. It's like I'm feeling a bit strange, or, you know, achy or dizzy or however it is expressing itself in my physical body. And then someone just mentions in passing, you do know that the Schumann resonance is off the charts today, don't you? And it's like, oh, okay, right, I get it now. The same with the solar flares as well. So we're being a bit battered from many sides at the moment, and it does feel as though the physical body is taking a bit of the brunt of it. So maybe it's just a time when the physical body has to catch up And we have to allow it the space to do that, to not rush, to slow down, to be more present, to just be. I'm getting there with that myself, you know. Today's a good example. I've gone into town, I've had a coffee with a friend who I hadn't seen for a year, so it was well overdue, long overdue. We had a great old catch up. Then I had to go and do the shopping. It's now 2:25. I haven't actually done any work, but I'm afraid it's just the way it's going to have to be. Of course, if there was a deadline, it would have been different. But the point is, we can't just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and doing and doing and doing. Things happen in divine timing, and we have to start taking some time for ourselves now to balance out all of this madness that's actually out there, whether it's coming from the sun, whether it's coming from the moon, just doing their thing, natural occurrences, whether it's the Schumann resonance that's up and down, and also whether it's the collective energy, which is just really, really unstable at the moment. I'll tell you a little story, which just goes to show how important it is also to try to remain, to try to think the best, the best of situations. So as you know, in the UK, we're in the middle of a pretty big constitutional crisis with Brexit. And it's palpable. It's definitely become palpable the last week that people are starting to get a bit panicky. I even went into a shop the other day. I was just buying some makeup or something, and I joked to the girl behind the counter. I said, "Oh yeah, well, you know, it's important to." No, I said, "Oh, I buy this makeup." I said, "But you know, I do it for myself because I work from home. You know, I put my face on for myself. It's not for anybody else. I've been like that since I was 14." And she said, "Oh yes, I know what you mean." And she said, "Oh, mind you," she said, "with Brexit," she said, "I don't know whether I'm going to be able to afford, you know, this brand of eyeliner, or I might have to go to a cheaper thing." We started to have this whole discussion, but she got like this panic underlying it. It was like, I don't know what I'm going to be able to afford. And you can sense it, you can sense it. So I'm driving down the road today, and there's a little park with roses and stuff. And I noticed, I was driving past in my car, I noticed what looked like a European flag. It looked like a European flag. And it looked like somebody had put a European flag with what I interpreted to be, it looked like a grave underneath it with a load of flowers. And straight away, it got my back up a bit, because I've said before on videos, without getting too political, I'm more of a Remainer. That's my politics. So I don't particularly want to leave the European Union, even though we are going to be, probably. So the fact that somebody put this mock sort of grave up to Europe, it really got my back up. And I thought, no, Amanda, just let it go, breathe, don't go there, don't get angry. So I went and did my shopping, and then I came back and I thought, I'm going to go past that and have a look and see what that really is. And I drove back, and I realised it wasn't the European flag, it was the New Zealand flag. Because the New Zealand flag has got the blue and the yellow stars in it. And it was actually a shrine that somebody had put up to give their condolences to what had happened in New Zealand. And straight away I thought, oh gosh, how beautiful is that somebody's actually gone and done that. But can you see, it was like I went from one extreme of like, oh God, why have they done that, thinking it was about something else, and my energy had gone into that low state, and then actually seeing what it really was, and it was like, oh, how beautiful is that, and suddenly being lifted. That's what I mean at the moment. It's really strange. It's like if there's two energies in town, they are at either end of the spectrum. There doesn't seem to be much in the middle at the moment. That's just one little example. But yeah, wanted to bring that in. Send some good vibes to us in the UK, guys, because it's a bit of an unhappy old place at the moment. And a lot of people are feeling quite lost with it all. Oh, and as I said that, I've just got a message here come up from one of you and I've asked how you are, and you say, not sure, Amanda, feeling a bit lost and hurt. I just want to sit and eat goodies. Pains in my belly. How are you after your healing? Oh, bless you, thank you. Just want to sit and eat goodies. I was just talking about that to my spiritual friend, who has always been very good at, very strict with her diet, and put me to shame a lot of the time. And she was saying the same thing. She's like, I've got this compulsion that I need to eat more, I'm craving more sugary things. And I know it's not good for me, but I can't seem to stop doing it, but I know I need to stop. And you've probably heard this theory before, and it is not an excuse for all of us just to pig out on chocolate at all. But again, I really am sensing that the body is needing a balance to all of these sort of crazy vibrations that are out there. As I say, whether it's the moon, whether it's the sun, whether it's Schumann doing its thing, whether it's the collective wobbles that are going on. It's Brexit here in the UK. In other parts of the world, it is manifesting in different ways, and in much more tragic ways as well. You know, I've been drawn to try to send healing to the situation in Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Malawi. You know, it's like, I think it's 1.5 million people that are affected by the flooding that's happened there. Put that on my page yesterday. I think there's also a lot of flooding in parts of America, isn't there? There's obviously the situation in New Zealand. There's lots of places around the world at the moment where it's just the energy is, I can just describe it as spiky. It's really spiky. It's really difficult. And so is it any wonder actually that the body is saying, actually, I want to do that. It's like the body's wanting a bit of a hug. And I guess what we need to be doing is to try to train the body to appreciate maybe other types of food which are better for us, which equally give us an internal hug, as it were, without the side effects of obviously too much sugar or alcohol or whatever is your thing. But I also feel very strongly that when we are feeling unsettled and challenged, and as this person has said, a bit lost and a bit hurt, actually go into compassion with yourself. It's really important to be compassionate with yourself, because the way that you are reacting is from a place of pain, basically. It's from a place of feeling low. There's an awful lot of depression out there at the moment as well. So just give yourself some slack is what I want to say. Give yourself some slack. Oh, you see, there again, I hadn't read the next comment, but here we go. Wilma, she says, feeling flat as a pancake. Oh, she says, but I gave up salt, sugar, meat, dairy. So not sure if that's affecting me. Glad you're back, Amanda. Can't wait for the next vid. Oh, isn't that interesting then? So that's somebody who's eating really well, but is still feeling low, versus somebody who's admitted they're eating the goodies, and they're not feeling great. Let's pull some cards at this point. It's an odd energy, isn't it? It's an odd energy. Okay. Let's pull a few cards from the Sirian Starseed Tarot. I've actually got 2 decks on my desk. I've also got the Cathar Tarot here, and they both were calling me today, and they're the 2 decks that I have in my house that I actually find the hardest to read for different reasons. They're great decks, but I just find them more challenging, which isn't a bad thing. I like to be challenged, okay? It stretches you, gets you out of your comfort zone. But again, they seem to be almost symptomatic of the energy. It's not easy, so let's go and get the hardest decks and let's see what we get. All right. Okay, they're also very hard to shuffle. See, I'm getting a message in that, because you see how big they are? They're really hard to shuffle. What Metatron is saying is, look at how difficult it is to rearrange things, whether that be physical things, people, or energy, when there is too much. You know, think about your life. Think about your house. Maybe it's stuffed full of things, clutter. Maybe your mind has got lots of clutter. Maybe there are things that you're hanging on to that you don't need. There seems to be an energy that wants to come in to help us with all of this confusion and difficulty that's being experienced at the moment, which is about simplify, simplify, simplify. You know, it's really important to simplify. And I think that's why we're getting these extremes of energy, you know, light, dark, truth or untruth, reactions that are very extreme, like like the experience I just gave you with the flag that I saw. It wasn't sort of like, oh, you know, wonder what that display is, you know, wonder what that flag's about. It was literally like, oh, I was about to swear, someone's created that, you know, as like an RIP to Europe, you know, and I went into like, I wasn't in a particularly great frame of mind with who had done that. And then from that, I went to, oh, how beautiful is that? It's a tribute to New Zealand. You know, no grey area, no middle reaction. It's like one or the other. It's like we're tipping the scales. I mean, come on, we've just had the full moon in Libra, haven't we? I suppose, thinking about it. So what is that? It's the sign of the scales. It's somehow we've got to find the balance. Right, let's have 3 cards from this huge unmanageable pack that I cannot shuffle. I'm going to put them on the desk, split them into 3, and Metatron's saying take one from the top of each of the 3 piles. So the first one we have got is the Adept of Chalices, somebody riding a wave. Actually, are they? Well, yes, they are. Look at that. They're almost like flat down in it. The message that's coming from that, you know, as I look at that card, can you see that? So it's somebody riding a wave, but can you see their face is flat into the water? You remember when you learn to swim, and particularly us girls, we're very bad at like doing, you know, the front crawl, and you keep your head out. You keep your head out so your makeup stays okay, your hair doesn't get wet, you know, and it's like after a while it's just get your face into the water, okay? Get your face into the water and truly experience it. In all seriousness, when you properly put your face into water, what you're actually doing is you are becoming more streamlined. Do you see the way I did that? Becoming more streamlined, more aerodynamic. You don't have the sort of the friction from trying to keep your head up here when your body's there but your head's here. It's like, I can't get anything wet, I can't get anything wet. As soon as you put your face in the water and you swim properly, you're into a whole other type of stroke, you know? It's graceful, it's about going with the flow. And look at what that person's doing, okay? They have learned, they have become adept at flowing with water. There is this huge wave. You remember water represents emotion, which is overhanging them there, but they're okay. They're sort of in the shallows. They've got their head down. They are just gracefully flowing through it. Okay, so that's the first one. The second card is the Ten of Flames. And this is the one that shows somebody who is walking up quite a steep old staircase, and they're carrying an awful lot of weight on their back, okay? 10 of Flames, which would be the 10 of Fire, okay? So somebody walking up a very dark passageway, almost feels quite gothic. It feels like a castle. It's illuminated only by the orange torch, okay? The orange torch, the orange flame. How many times do I talk about the orange flame with Archangel Metatron? Okay, the main spray, this one's empty actually, but this is the flame attunement spray. It's an orange spray. It's the first colour that Metatron gave me in 2007, before I started to produce colour sprays myself, before I brought in the whole system of Metatron colour healing, before I started this YouTube channel, Facebook, before any of it. He said to me, the future's bright, the future's orange. I've told you that before. It's the strapline from that advert. But it's the orange flame, that is lighting the way. Even though this journey that we're on at the moment, it's like a dark alleyway. I mean, like we're heading for the light. We can see the light. But I'll tell you the other thing about this staircase. What does it look like to you? Because to me, it looks pretty isolated. There isn't anybody else on that stairway, except there is, of course, Metatron is with you. That's what the orange flame is all about. But in all seriousness, I feel as though it's a time where there's a difference between feeling lonely and feeling alone. But both of these cards, you know, it's just one person. It's as though, do you know, the truth is sometimes Spirit takes a step back when they have to, when there's something that we really have to learn or go through or experience. And I'm sort of sensing that now. The help is there, they are still there, they're carrying you, they're supporting you, but equally there's something that you're meant to do on your own at the moment. Something maybe you need to look at, maybe you need to heal, you need to physically do, you need to let go of, you need to enter. I don't know, you'll know what it is. But that card to me shows somebody who's climbing the stairs, you know, they're there, there's no way back, you know, they're not about to exit and make a retreat, they are on the way up to the light. But equally, this particular stage of the journey is something that they have to do on their own for some reason. The Three of Crystals is the Three of Pentacles in the traditional tarot. Okay, so we've got the Three of Crystals. So that's the Three of Pentacles. And that is the card of choice. Usually it's typically called the card of choice. But we've got the Trinity sign there. We've got quartz crystals. It's funny actually, I'm sitting here at my desk and I cleared my whole desk this morning. I had a grid set up, it just didn't resonate anymore. And all I've got on my particular grid, I can't bring it to show you at the camera, but I'll just show the pieces. It's all quartz, it's all clear quartz. I've got 3 little quartz crystals that were sent to me by one of you, which represent the new earth. 3 of crystals, so those are my 3 that I've got on my desk. I've also got a quartz crystal, this one's a dodecahedron. Funnily enough, it links to the throat. And I've also got selenite, got a selenite wand. And I've got the white Metatron spray, and that's all that I've got there. It's all that I felt I needed. So, the Trinity, the crystals, quartz. Let me just spray the white, see what message we've got here from this card. Let the light lead you. Let the light lead you. Yeah, I mean, in a way, that's what's happening here, isn't it? Let the light lead you. You know, I was talking about those 2 different extremes of emotion and reaction, and not many people being in the middle or holding the middle ground. I think that's what we're meant to be doing, or at least trying to do. I think that's why there's nobody else on this blinking staircase. There's no one else there. Ooh. The middle way is the higher way. The middle way is the higher way. This sort of builds on the work that I did. It was the Donald Trump video actually, where we were talking about the bridge. Do you remember? And it was 2 different extremes. On the bridge, just 2 different camps. I mean, we're talking politically here, 2 different camps, and somehow having to get to a middle place. It's the same thing here that's coming up, I feel. So in terms of elements, we've got water, we've got fire, and we've got earth. We've got no air again. Let's now get the 3 that's on the bottom of the decks. Let's see what they are. We've got the 3 of Flames. We've got the 10 of Crystals. And we've got the guidance card. I've got no air. There's no card here representing the element of air again. I said I was going to look at that, didn't I, at the end of 2018? Because, do you remember I did my top 10 sprays that we sold in 2018, and the least popular spray was air, and I was like, why is the air elemental just not being represented? Right now, we haven't got the air elemental here either. We've got fire, we've got earth, and we've got water. What's that? Was it Bewitched? The one that kept doing that with her nose. Was that when a bit of magic was about to happen? Got an itchy nose. What can I make of these last 3 cards? Let's take them one by one. Guidance. It's a great card. Look at that. You've got the energy. I'm putting it slantways. Sorry, otherwise it gets the reflection of my light. We've got the Buddha and we've got the Sphinx. The Buddha and the Sphinx. And there's a feeling of, whilst all around you, maybe in your personal life, definitely in the collective, whilst around you everything is a bit mad, because let's face it, it is, can you feel the peace that comes from those two energies? So an ancient Egyptian energy with the Sphinx, and also I'm hearing a galactic energy, because the Sphinx is supposed to be a portal, which we don't even yet properly understand its purpose. It's a record keeper. The Sphinx is a record keeper. And when humankind has evolved to the level that it needs to a higher level, the secrets that the Sphinx's energy holds within it will be released to mankind. The Sphinx is one of the places in the world that cannot be destroyed, okay? It holds an energetic blueprint for the future, and it's safeguarded. And it feels as though the Buddha sitting there with the Sphinx is saying that for us to be able to reach that heightened state of consciousness, to be able to access those records, which will help not just ourselves but wider humanity. What does the Buddha teach? The Buddha teaches the need to, I've got my Buddha here, the need to be present, okay, the need to be present, the need to sit. I mean, Buddha was the one that sat underneath the tree and achieved enlightenment. He wasn't going around the planet, you know. He wasn't busy. He was busy in a different way, internal. But he sat very quietly and he was able to achieve enlightenment, whilst around him many things would have been going on. Many probably disasters, collective energies, goodness knows what was going on around that time. But yet reached a state of enlightenment just by being able to pause and be still. Now, of course, we're not being asked to just sit like the Buddha for the rest of our lives, but we are, I feel, being asked to be Buddha-like in our energy at this time. And the other energy that's coming through from this Buddha that I'm holding as well is, of course, the energy of compassion and non-judgment and forgiveness. And if we can just hold that, and it does feel as though it is that higher way, okay, the 3, the higher way, then we're able to transform the world, our world and the wider world. So the energy of the Buddha coming in. Let's just see if I can get anything else from this crystal. So I'll just put it up to the light so you can see it. It's a fluorite. It's a green and purple fluorite. There he is, just so you can tune into his energy. Doesn't he look happy? I'll tell you what, he isn't the slimmest chap in the world, is he? Okay. What were we just saying about the body? It's not an excuse to obviously put on weight and be out of condition, but the truth is, it's also about being comfortable with who we are, what we look like. The Buddha is always content, peaceful. So just feel the energy of that. Happy with his lot. Happy with his lot. Can't remember where I bought this. He's been with me a long time. He sits on my desk, and he's got a cheeky energy because he's saying, yes, I sit on your desk and I manage to just be that oasis of steadiness and calm. And he says there's times when I breathe for you because he knows that I'm still a bit of an overdoer. Okay, so can you feel the power of him? Can you just feel the power of just sitting and being and not doing? And somebody reminding you just to breathe. Beautiful. And then if we can do that, then we have this gateway. The gateway, the Sphinx is the gateway to higher and higher states. Higher states than we've ever had on this planet before. I keep going back to the card where it says Trinity, because there's something coming through this year with regard to Easter time. This Easter, and also Ascension. You'll have to remind me in the description box, in the comments below. Was it Pentecost? Is Pentecost the festival where the Holy Spirit was given? I think it was. I think I'm right in saying that. I might be wrong. Might have got my Bible wrong. But I'm being drawn to the period between Easter, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, which is the rebirth energy, and then that next bit, which is where effectively the story goes that Christ ascended, and then the disciples were given the gift of the Holy Spirit, the gift of speech, the gift of being able to speak with God force, with source light. And there's just something about that Trinity, Father, Son and Holy Spirit, coming in very, very strongly over the next 2 months, okay? And they're going to help to balance us up. Look at this beautiful card, the 10 of Crystals. Before I try and tune into what that might be saying, just look at that. We've got almost like an old-fashioned bandstand and a lady in orange. And then inside the bandstand are just beautiful jewels with all of the quartz crystals leading up to it. And there's a peacock. You see the peacock? Peacock's there. Again, that's got an Easter feel though, hasn't it? It's got like a pagan Easter feel. You see the lady with the spring garland there on her head, the headdress, Ostera, is that Ostera? Yeah. The peacock, the crystals. Let me just look up what the traditional meaning is of the 10 of Crystals in this book. Okay, it says, I'll put the card up. It says, despite the, you see that? Despite the overabundance of wealth and status implied in the images of the 10 of Crystals, with its gems, its crystals, its peacock, its castle walls, not everything in this key is about the exalted state of absolute wealth and security. The woman in the figure looks back at the path she has walked that leads to her jewel-filled atrium, facing a new problem, how to hold on and protect her possessions. Consider the irony in the idea that so many extremely wealthy women have their $1 million jewels copied in glass and faux gems for fear of being robbed of their fortunes. The real emeralds and diamonds sit in a vault in the dark, never to be enjoyed, too dangerous to be worn. It is the copies that they wear. Surely that speaks of problems of acquired wealth, and so it is in this key. Enjoy your successes without being afraid of losing your possessions and your success. When you understand true abundance, you know that you can always create more, and that it is all about your ability to give, to receive, and to keep the flow of energy moving through your life. Can you take the time now to enjoy the benefits of all you've created and relax into it? It's interesting that it's a card that comes up about wealth. You know that I'm linked into the colour mirrors energy, and yesterday, it was yesterday the 21st, I bathed in a bottle which was purple and gold. Okay, so I'm talking about these colour mirrors bottles. All right, so the bottle that I bathed in yesterday was purple on the bottom and gold on top. And what we did, those of us linked into the colour mirrors energy, we all sort of meditated and also bathed in the bottle at the same time. Not in the same bath, of course, but you know, we did it on the same day. And the point was, it was about trying to explore the energy of wealth and abundance, and you know, what needs healing around that. Probably why I've got the Cathar tarot deck sitting on my deck, because the Cathars were a group of people in the Middle Ages who had enormous spiritual wisdom, but were also said to be alchemists. And many of us that are spiritual beings now in this life, sometimes there can be like a past life issue still to be healed with regard to the Cathar lifetime, because the problem with the Cathars was that because they were alchemists and were able to create gold, that they were persecuted and drummed out of existence, basically. So sometimes you often meet people in spiritual circles and they can know a lot, but yet they will have nothing to their name. It's also the energy of not being able to maybe charge for your services, not feeling as though it's worth anything, or that you shouldn't. It's often linked into that sort of Cathar energy of, look what happened to me last time. I had both wealth and also was on my spiritual path. So this gold and purple bath was all about trying to heal that, but also just whatever else was going to come up with regard to the whole area with money. And what came up for me, and I'll share this with you because it was collective. I said this to my colour mirrors friends. It was like I wanted a personal message, but I didn't get it. It was more of a collective message, because what I saw, I was taken to places of absolute opulence in our world, where particularly the sultans and Arabia, you know, real wealth beyond our wildest imaginings. And then I was also taken to places like Africa, where they've had this extraordinary, horrific flooding, where people have literally been left with absolutely nothing. And I guess the lesson that came through within this meditative bath I had was, how do we find the balance between those two extremes? How do we bring that into our world? And really, this card is saying the same thing. This is a lady who's too afraid to wear her precious jewels because they're worth so much, you know, whether she's going to get mugged or robbed, or it's not worth the hassle. So I'll walk around with my fake, you know, diamond or my ruby or my emerald. But it also, the deeper meaning to it is, of course, those treasures anyway, they're not the real treasures of our world. The real treasures of our world are here, you know, they're within the ancient land, they're within the sacred sites, they're within the books of teachings, sacred teachings, they're within the depths of our soul, they're within the depths of our sensitivity and our empathy and our ability to be to be loving. These are the true riches. And it feels as though it's underneath the card of Easter. I'm calling this my Easter card, the Trinity card. It's underneath that card. And to me, it feels as though there's something around Easter time whereby money seems to just come up. What I mean by that is we are asked to look at wealth and what does wealth mean to us? What do we truly need? Not just for ourselves, but for the wider world. I mean, I know there are a lot of people out there who keep talking about financial resets that might happen at some point in the future. You've only got to look at my country, the UK. Whatever happens, to be honest, beyond beginning of April, when something's going to happen, it's been going on a long time, the whole Brexit negotiations, but it's coming to an absolute head. Something has to happen within the next couple of weeks. Maybe that creates something within the market, you know, which carries on. But what it seems to do is it brings us to a greater understanding of what do I really need? What do I really need? Do I need all these fancy jewels? No, I don't. You know, quite happy with a bit of costume jewellery. So, I don't know, we'll see. There's something coming up with money there. Money, wealth, what we prize. The Three of Flames underneath the Ten of Flames. The Three of Fire is often an energy. What do I want to say about that actually? Hold on, let me just pause. You have to tell me what you think. I'm just really intrigued why we've got these. It's like an arrow. It's like an arrow shape within the flame and within the crystals. 2 3s. Oh, 33. Okay, 33. 33 is the Christ consciousness again. I'm not being told what it is. It's like a bit of a mystery here. There's something coming up energetically in April that is over and above it being Easter. That's a given. It's linking into the Christ consciousness. It's linking into some form of reset in terms of our values, in terms of wealth, in terms of what we're striving for. What is there a trigger to this energy that I've got sitting here, Metatron? Is there a trigger, something that happens to create this? It's like a soul-searching energy. That's what I'm feeling. It's like a soul-searching energy that's coming in. Maybe it's for people that haven't yet woken up. You know, there's something coming in here. You know, this to me is the card of seeking spiritual wisdom. You know, I'm going off what normally the Ten of Flames is about here. I'm just going purely on what I'm intuitively picking up. It's like he's really climbing up the old staircase of spiritual knowledge. He's already acquired a lot, but he's going for the next level. It's quite hard, it's quite difficult. The weight on his back is heavy, but he's carrying on with it. She's questioning, do I really want all those jewels? Do I need them? Why do I need them? Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Three of Flames, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Again, that's the message I'm getting for that card. Go higher, seek more, be Buddha-like. Flow. So what is there something that triggers this? Is there something that triggers this? Let's just see what we get, shall we? Is there something that triggers this? Love. The Two of Chalices. Sacred feminine, sacred masculine. Divine feminine, divine masculine. Union for some. I tell you what, those of you that watch me regularly know that I've done a couple of twin flame videos, and I need to do another one soon, but I am sensing that for some, not all, for some twin flames there is union on the horizon. And actually it's not even on the horizon, it's here. It's here quite soon. And I have always maintained, for me, that I feel when unions start to happen on a bigger scale, not just one or two people, but on a bigger scale, not everybody, but on a bigger scale, it will be because the planet is able to fully sustain that vibration. I said in my last twin flame video that I felt that one of the reasons why union wasn't happening was because the vibration on the planet wasn't high enough. There's something that just comes in and lifts the vibration of the planet. I don't know if we're meant to know what that is. How fascinating. Okay, I'm going to pull 3 cards from the Cathar Tarot. My friend Marina got me these. Cathar Tarot by John Matthews and Will Kinghan. They are a real body of work in their own way, in their own right. I am no expert on reading these cards, so please Metatron, give me a few easy ones, please. Let's just see what we get. 3 cards, just a message. It might be linked into what I've already said. It could be something completely different. Why have I got this deck? Why have you asked me to pull this deck out? There must be a message. So let's have 3 cards from the Cathar deck. The Knight of Swords. Oh, getting hot. Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is the one who comes in and delivers truth. The 8 of Wisdom. I told you there's something going on with this soul searching. And the 2 of Swords. Yeah. Look at that. The Sword of Truth. Can you see that? The Sword of Truth comes down, and it comes down over a city, comes down over civilization. Sword of Truth. Something is exposed. Truth is exposed. Something comes in and brings something to an end, and it brings in wisdom. I saw that sword. Those of you that follow me on my Facebook page, I posted about that sword, was it maybe 2 weeks ago? And it was linked into, the Michael Jackson energy. It was linked into, those of you that have followed me, you know that I've been talking about the fact that I felt that was a smoke screen, and that actually what it's trying to do is it's trying to hide elite groups that are doing bad deeds in cities, and it's as though I saw this sword of truth. In fact, I saw it coming up from the earth. Here it's coming down from the sky, but as above, so below. The sword of truth was coming up from the earth, and it was going to bring to light a lot of stuff that has been hidden that they don't want you to know, basically, okay? And I tell you what, I think it's going to rock the world when that starts to happen. And what it's going to do is it's going to make people almost get down on their knees. That is metaphorical, okay? But it's this thing about, oh gosh, you know, really needing to question the way of the world. You know, we thought it was a certain way. But actually, look at this. This changes everything. This sword changes everything. And look at the way that this guy is actually, he's pleased to see the sword. Can you see? He's got his arms in prayer. He's pleased to see the sword. It's like, thank God. It's like deliverance. It's like an energy of deliverance. Can you see the clouds? They look like angel wings. Deliverance, truth, piercing of illusions, piercing of false gods, piercing of what you don't really need. You don't just pursue jewels for the sake of pursuing jewels. What's the point? You know, when would you ever wear them? Like that card says, they're just going to stay in a vault somewhere. This is... I didn't know what this video was going to be, to be honest, when I sat down. And what I'm sensing it actually is it feels like there's a culmination of a lot of different energies that we've been talking about for the last couple of years on this channel. And it feels as though they all seem to culminate and come together at the same time. There's something that seems to happen and be exposed with regard to, yeah, let's call it what it is, Illuminati, secret societies, things that have been hidden. And it's not going to be nice stuff that gets revealed. And it makes us start to question the pursuit of... I wanted to say the pursuit of materialism at the expense of the pursuit of the true essence of life. There's the twin flame thing that comes in. Again, that is just that. I think that card's just there. That's just saying, yeah, this piercing truth that comes in, this revelation, this disclosure. The word disclosure coming in as well. God, that brings in the blinking galactics. It's all centered around Easter time. Something's coming up. Something big is going to happen around Easter time. And it brings all sorts of strands of consciousness together. Whoa. Well, if you thought the ride wasn't interesting already, it's going to get even more interesting. What guidance, please, Metatron? I've actually got the other thing that I felt called to pull here for this reading is a set of chakra cards. Got these in Canada. They're called Chakra Affirmation Healing Cards. I don't even know who they're by. Oh, I'll put it on the link below, sansara.com. Okay. So let's see what we can do to help us stay balanced whilst all this is going on, because this is big. This is big. Firstly, remember to breathe. Throat chakra is the first card that's come out. I'm going to pull a couple. That throat chakra card says, I listen to and I acknowledge the needs and wants of others. That analogy of being on the bridge, two opposing camps, any area of life you choose, anything that you're responding to in terms of black and white, somehow we've got to get to a place where we are listening to and acknowledging the needs and the wants of everybody else, of other people. So throat chakra is coming up for healing. I said that, didn't I, for myself anyway, at the start of this video. Throat chakra. What else? One more card, Metatron. Just some guidance for people, please. Yeah, that makes sense. The crown chakra. I tune into the union with my higher power. I tune into the union with my higher power. Because the thing is, when big things start to happen in our world and we start to really see it, really going to start seeing some changes happening. It's going to be ramping up through this year. Feels like Easter is just a watershed moment, but it's not just about Easter. Maybe Easter's just when the sword, you know, symbolically comes down, cuts away a lot of the dross, a lot of the dross. Let's just leave it at that. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to step more and more into our higher self, into our higher power. There's this real common misconception out there with when you work with archangels and angels, which is that they're trying to take over. It's the furthest thing from the truth. What Archangel Metatron always wishes is to lead you back to yourself, to lead you back to your own higher self. And so this is, I tune into the union with my higher power, and I listen to and I acknowledge the needs and the wants of others. Yeah, good bits of advice. Well, I hope that sort of makes sense. It's like, I feel like I've just opened up a play. That's what it feels like. It feels like we've just opened up the curtains on a play that is about to start to manifest and take shape and form. But it's nothing that we are going to be, it's not bad, it's good. Let's just have one final card to end on. The Three of Wisdom. Yeah, look at that. The hand of God coming down. Sorry about the glare. The hand of God coming down to man. But man there is represented by a godly person. Somebody who is linked into his higher self, his godliness. There's a return to godliness. I think the world needs it, personally. I also feel that that represents man. Look at that, he's got his hand up. It's as though he's asked for help. He's asked for help. And look at that hand coming down from the sky. That's God's hand. Help is coming. Deliverance, the sword. Truth. Truth and wisdom. And look at the way, just feel the energy of that hand coming down. Doesn't come down in a sort of like, oh my God, panicky way. It comes down in a very gentle, here I am. It's that sort of energy. It's like, here I am. How can I assist? I think many people have been calling out for assistance, and I think it's coming. We will have to look again over the coming month. 6 weeks I'm hearing, and see what more comes through. I'm going to leave it at that for now. That's enough for a Friday afternoon. Much love to everybody. Speak to you soon. Take care of yourselves, won't you? And take care of each other. Much love. Bye-bye.